one. Falcon hates puns and thinks that they're all wrong. One's American and one is an Aussie. Talking about StarCraft 2 and the esports scene.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast, Falcon Paladin.
Hello, Somicron. Happy podcast day to you.
Thank you.
Is my camera over there, like, squished?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
It's
checking.
slightly more fixed than last week, but it's not a great job. I'm still having issues.
Fair enough. We'll just roll with it then. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
All right. So, we got some stuff to talk about today. We got some Warhammer. We have some anime to talk about. Pretty traditional, nerdy stuff from the Falcon Paladin Hour, so no one should be surprised.
A real back to our roots episode.
Indeed.
Also, the Esports World Cup starts tomorrow, I believe. So we've got...
Oh,
StarCraft is coming, people.
that snuck up on me. I was, like...
You're
Last
so
time we
used-
talked about it,
Yeah,
it was like, it's
awesome.
forever away. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. First game is in 1 day, 8 hours, 52 minutes.
Awesome.
Yep, it's coming. Maru's Spirit. It's going to be a close one. It's going to be 6 hours long.
I mean, based on how Spirit plays, yeah, could be.
I wonder
Definitely
if
could be that.
I wonder if the skill difference is just Maru's good enough that he can finish it quickly enough. You know?
He is. He 100% is.
Okay. Yeah. I
But sometimes Maru's like, meh, I don't want to play
That's-
like Maru.
That's true. Maybe he'll be jet lagged. He's only going to get in 1 day, 7 hours and 12 minutes, right? Like he's going to go straight
Right.
from the airport to the venue.
I think that's, that's probably pretty likely, honestly. They're going to be like, we need all the attendees here 2 hours early. And Maru's like, no,
No can do. Nope.
I've won 8 GSLs. It's not happening.
Yeah.
You want me here? I'll show up when I want to show up.
He's got to get there earlier than that. He has to. There'll be, Meteor Day and stuff where they're like, we want to take a bunch of player photos for broadcast to use,
You're right.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I think the point stands that however Maru turns up, we still need to see which Maru turns up,
True.
Yeah. But I think
True facts.
I think we've been through this bracket.
Yeah. No, we definitely talked about it.
Yeah, because Cyril Coffee we talked about, and I think that gave Coffee like a 0.1% chance of winning. His best of 3. I think it's best of 3. Yeah. So that's coming. We can talk about that next week. I think it'll be over by next week. It's only like a weekend tournament, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's not quite a weekend, but it'll be over by the time we come back here. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, good. Looking forward to that.
Okay.
It's been a while, I feel like, since we've had some good Premier StarCraft 2.
Been a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll probably continue that, but I'm not going to. You want to go Warhammer book first? You want to talk about some animes? What do we want to do?
We'll do the anime first. We'll close out with Warhammer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, to start this thing off, because this is relevant to everybody right now, watch the first season of Tower of God, which came out a few years ago. We both watched it. And watched it with my daughter. Because she's like been watching some stuff, been watching One Piece and like some other things. And I'm like, let's see if she likes this. So she was a good sport. She started watching it with me. And yeah, I mean, she fell in love with these characters, man. Like, she loves Rack so much. She's like way into Anak. She's like, Lizard Girl. She's so cool. She hates Endorsey. She's like, I don't like Endorsey. And I was like, she is kind of the Princess of Jihad that wears like the orange.
Yeah.
Orange, usually, that's her color.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, she just has like really negative feelings about Endorsey because I guess she initially kind of came in fighting Bam, and she was like,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we get to the end of the season, and like Rachel and Bam are in the big submersible. They're in a sea of Shinsu, and
Rachel's
they're
in a
being
wheelchair.
attacked. Yeah, and Bam's being awesome, and he's defending, and he's winning because he's the protagonist. And like, my daughter knows enough to be like, yeah, he's got plot armor. Good luck with that. Like, you're not killing this guy. Sorry.
Right.
And then the big betrayal at the end of the season happens. Rachel stands up from her wheelchair. She's been pretending she can't walk and pushes Bam into the sea of Shinsu, ostensibly to his death.
Yeah.
And she was so mad. Like, for the last 5 or 6 days, we'll just be like sitting there and she'll be like, Rachel. Like, just like all of the rage and anger in her voice.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a big, like, plot twist is, like, it feels like too generic a term to be, like, emotional betrayal that's going on. Because Bam is so invested in Rachel, like,
I
in
think that's
doing
fair.
right by her. He definitely looks up to her as someone who looked after him when he was younger, is the way that feels. Like, I haven't seen Tower of God in a little while, so I'm like...
Well, it's...
They were
yeah,
like
here.
living in a cave together for years in finely tailored clothes and nothing else. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's right. The pre-story of Tower of God is a little fuzzy for sure. But from my understanding of it, watching it again, is Bam ended up in this underground cave with no light, no nothing, no memory of how he got there, no understanding of society or people, but he does have a firm grasp on language. So however that works, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
So after a while being in there, Rachel like finds him, stumbles into this cave, but she can't get out either. So they're stuck together for some amount of time. And she's just like, this poor helpless baby bird. Like, let's help this dude out. He's wearing like a sackcloth. He's not even wearing clothes. Like, he's wearing a giant flour sack that somebody gave him, and his hair is super long.
Right.
Like, he's not wearing clothes when she finds him. And so she teaches him, you know, how the world works and her morality. And like, very specifically, one of the lessons that she teaches him is like, if anybody attacks a woman, like, you need to like defend her. Like, it's this, that's like one of the things that she's really into teaching him. But otherwise, it's like, help people and be nice. And like, she instills this certain level of like moral code in this dude who came from nowhere, as far as she knows and as far as he knows.
Right.
So it's like this baby bird imprinting on its mother kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Right. So then how the show starts, she's running from him because she wants to climb this tower. Because the story goes, if you climb all the way to the top of this tower, then you become a god. You get your wish. You get a wish that will come true.
Yeah.
And she's like, this stupid kid's going to hold me back. So I'm going to go climb the tower on my own. I'm going to leave you behind. I'm done with you. I feel like I have maybe fulfilled my, the requirements of being a decent person by helping you out. And I don't want to be with you anymore. Peace. And then he's like, but no, I'm a baby bird. You're my mom.
You have to wait for me to leave the nest, not the other way around.
Right. You can't abandon me. So he's chasing her. And that's a lot of what season 1 is. He's chasing her because she's climbing the tower and he's like, well, I got to climb the tower too if she's doing it. Right. So that's your basic outlook. And so in fairness to Rachel, she's not encouraging him to hang out with her. She's not like, let's be together. Let's climb the tower as a team, Bam. Let's do this thing, you and me. And then she betrays him the whole time. She's like, I don't want to be with you. This is not working for me. Go away. And he's like, I can't. So, like, it's a betrayal.
Wow.
It is. I'm just saying it's a betrayal. Wow. He's a baby bird. He doesn't know any better. He likes her a lot. But she's not tricking him outside of the very last minute there. I guess she pretends she can't walk. That's a thing.
I cannot wait for you to have, a mid-teenage daughter throwing a fit at a dad who's like, this isn't working for me. And you're like, well, it's my house. I can't leave. You have to be here. And then, you'll be like, well, it's fully justified that she pushes you down the stairs,
It's no. Did I say fully justified? Nowhere did I say fully justified. I said it's a betrayal.
Yeah,
He did
okay.
not deserve to die.
I don't think you used the word fully, but I don't think you did use the word justified.
Okay.
Or maybe in
All right. Well,
in
then
her
I'll backtrack
defense,
then.
you know.
Yeah, in her defense, look, I'm just saying there is a difference morally between she's there the whole time. She's like, let's climb the tower together, Bam. Let's go. You and me, Bam and Rachel, 100
Right.
years, right?
I
And
don't know.
then she, right. And then she pushes him to his death. It's like, holy shit, lady, what is wrong with you? This
Sure.
is also, holy shit, lady, what is wrong with you? He did not deserve to die. But she gave him very clear expectations about what she wanted from this relationship the whole time. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think so. I don't think they
Okay.
were clear because it's like let's spend who knows how long being basically a family as you teach me morals, and then she's like,
Yeah.
I need to just peace out. I'm not going to give you a great explanation of why I'm leaving you here. I'm just going to leave.
I think she says, I'm climbing the tower.
Right.
Bye.
But isn't like, well, you can't come because I think you're a weak piece of shit. It's I'm just
Kinda,
going.
yeah.
I'm just
Actually,
going.
I think she says that. I think she basically says like, "You're holding me back, man."
I need to go rewatch season 1.
I know. I really think rewatching season 1 gave me some additional insight into this that I didn't have before.
Okay.
Because after watching season 1 out the first time, I was really fuzzy about kind of some of the details and some of the stuff. But man, watching it again, I really honestly felt after the second time watching that Rachel was very clear about, I'm climbing the tower. You're a stupid baby. You're going to hold me back. Bye. And like, it's cruel and it's mean, but it's clear there's no trickeration here. But Bam can't accept it because he's a baby bird who's imprinted on his mother. He's like genetically unable to not follow her.
I feel like she's trying to do tough love, and that's what the impression we're supposed to take. That she's doing tough love. She needs to break his heart so he stays here because it's really dangerous to climb the tower. Like, people die. And what we're supposed to think is that she's like, she doesn't want him to die. He's safe here. It's a cave, and there's maybe not a whole lot around, but he won't be, put into blood games, basically, because it's just a bunch of tests, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't think she knows that. I don't think.
Maybe.
I'm not sure how many people know what climbing the tower entails. Because, like, once you go in, I don't think you can leave.
Right. I don't know.
Because, like, when she shows up and head on the, like, rabbit dude with the staff, he's like, all right, let's give you a test to see if you can climb the tower. She's like, a test? What? Like, she's like, is there a ladder somewhere? Like, are there some stairs I can use? What's going on?
I feel like while she's confused that there's a test to climb the tower, she feels like she's being denied entry from even starting the tower rather than just giving a pre-exam test before the rest of the real tests,
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Maybe that's what it is.
Narratively, being given an additional test is not significant in Tower of God because it's all tests, right?
It's all tests.
But at that point, she doesn't know that, and the feeling there is that she's just being gatekept for no reason, right?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly.
Yeah, I think when they meet back up, and she's crippled and pretending to be crippled, it's a real reconnection and together, let's do this. Let's get in that submersible,
Yeah, but that's more a. I mean, I think she even says, like, I don't know. She says some stuff, man. Because Bam just at no point is understanding the concept that Rachel does not want to be with him. Like, he never sits down and goes, this is what she wants.
Yeah.
Like, the closest he gets is she wants to climb the tower. I'll help her climb the tower. Like, he knows she wants that.
Right. That is technically true, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, anywho, yeah, so she's all mad about it. But yeah, I mean, Tower of God, it's originally a Korean webcomic out on webtoons.com. And then Crunchyroll turned it into an anime.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah. And then season 2 is in release right now. So I think episode 5 just came out a couple days ago, and they're moving. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's effectively a power of friendship anime, right? It's very much Bam is this super, super heart of gold, really nice guy, doesn't really want to hurt anyone. And
Right.
everybody he meets, either they're like, this guy's easy to kill, or they're like, I am so taken by your heart of gold, Bam. I've
Right.
seen different ways because of what you've shown me. Let's be best friends. Yeah. So that's what it is. There's also this, this whole thing like Bam entering the tower as he did, kind of on his own choice instead of being invited, makes him what's called an irregular. The vast majority of people that are climbing the tower and taking tests are regulars. They were invited because they had a special skill or something. They came to the tower, they passed the test, they're climbing. But Bam's an irregular because he was not invited.
Right.
Which, again, we're watching season 1, apparently makes it so that he can kill the king of the top of the tower, the king of Jihad. He can do it. Apparently, if you're a regular and you were invited to the tower, you are under some kind of contract where you can't harm the tower. You can't harm the king.
Oh, so you can't even get to the top if you're invited to climb.
No, you can.
You
just can't kill the king of Jihad.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I think season 1 doesn't even cover that, right?
Yeah, that might be something to talk about in season 2.
That definitely sounds like it.
It definitely talks about him being an irregular in season 1, but that specific detail of he can kill the king of Jihad because he's an irregular, I think only shows up in season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's an organization called FUG that is this organization that lives in the tower that just wants to like take it down. They're like, this thing sucks. It's bad. It's terrible. It's oppressive. Let's
Right.
destroy it. So every time an irregular pops up in the tower, they grab him and they're like, you're our new guy. We're going to train you. We're going to give you all this experience, and hopefully you're the one that can kill the king of Jihad and take all this down.
Okay. Sure. Why
So effectively, season 2 is like, Bam ends up falling. He doesn't die. He gets saved by Fug.
not? He ends up in a training montage.
No, they don't give us a training montage.
Oh, that's disappointing.
He just shows up and he's like 8 inches taller and his hair's long
You know,
and it's covering his eyes. And so they're like, my daughter's like, they're trying to trick us into thinking that's not Bam, but that's Bam. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's Bam.
Yeah.
Good call.
Uh,
Yeah, but we don't get any montages. We don't get any flashbacks as to what happened between the time Rachel pushed him when he shows up in season 2. It's a little bit of a radical shift in how the show's been going to this point. So I thought that was interesting.
okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, they do introduce a whole new bunch of characters. I've complained about this before. Tower of God has so many characters constantly being thrown at you. I've been reading the webtoon. I take breaks because I'm like, okay, that's the 37th new character you've thrown at me in the last
Day.
the last 2 comics. So like, let me process this. I'll come back in 6 months. But I am how
It's
deep I am into this thing right
Terrible
now.
for you because like 6 months, you're not going to remember any of those people.
Yeah, it's
I
a
think
struggle.
at this point, you're complaining about characters being introduced when they were actually introduced like 6 times because you've left it for 6 months, forgotten who they were, and you're like, who's this new person I have to learn? But it's like, no, that's Bam. Like,
That might be happening with some of these for sure. But I'm on episode 578.
wow.
We're 578 webtoon postings into this thing.
Do we know where season 1 is in? Like
How
where
many
season,
posts?
like in the manga time, like how many chapters does this cover?
That's a great question. Let me see if I can find out real quick. Season 1, episode 0. Okay, so if we go to season 2, episode 1, that is 81.
81. Wow, so they can make like another 10 seasons out of this.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's a lot. And the reason I also stopped reading it because I got the feeling like this was kind of just spinning in place.
Okay.
Because a lot of the story is tests and people making bets with each other. That's another big part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like bets within the test, bets outside of the tests. And I just felt like, I don't know. But recently, it's gotten to the point where I feel like we've gotten a pretty decent handle on kind of end game setup.
Okay.
Like, not that it is the end game, but I can see where they're going with it now,
Right.
and I did not see it before.
You can see a path, you know.
Yeah,
You
I
know
can
which
see.
forest you're in.
Right. Whereas for a long time, I was just like, all right, we are wandering, man. We are wandering in the desert for 40 years.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something.
Anyway, yeah, so it's good. I don't know. I'm wondering how the anime is going to maybe do a good job of condensing things because there is a lot of stuff in season 1 that they cut out from season 1 of the anime.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe it won't be as wandery. Like, maybe they'll do a better job at being like, okay, these 20 characters were introduced. They have no bearing on anything. There's no character progression. There's no character growth for anyone. It's just a fight, and then they move on. Like, let's not do that. Because I think there are a few things they can do to cut that out of the story and just keep it what it is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot to say there. For me,
Right,
as
right.
somebody who hasn't read it, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I hope
yep.
they do. I hope they adapt it well. Like, that's all I can give you.
Right. And yeah, I mean, when I say this is a like story of friendship from the perspective of Bam, it really is. I'm going to tell you this because you're not going to remember it if you ever get to this point in watching or reading. But there's a point where Bam and his friends are trying to escape one of the leaders of one of the top 10 families, like this really scary, powerful dude.
Okay.
So they escape into, they think they're escaping, but they escape into this giant aquarium with giant sea monsters in it that the leader of the family, those are his pets, right?
Right.
And so the guy's like, all right, sea monsters attack. And so they're like, Bam, save us. You're powerful. Like, kick their asses. Bam's response is to use one of the skills he has previously learned to teleport them outside of the aquarium and free them. And they're like, thanks, Bam. Appreciate it. Bye. And they just like fuck off into the ocean. That's what Bam does. He makes friends with everyone.
Hold on.
He will try.
He can teleport?
He can teleport things. Yeah.
And he doesn't just teleport his friends that are in danger in the aquarium. Like, he's like, guys, I could teleport us out of here, but how about we get in this aquarium instead?
Right, but he senses the monsters are angry because they're trapped.
Okay.
And he wants to help them because they're under emotional stress.
It's very Avatar.
Yes, it is. You're right. It's Aang.
I mean,
Anyway,
if it's good, I won't hate that. Like,
right. I just thought that was a very excellent recent example of Bam is the friends we made along the way. Like, that's what his story is. All right, so that's Tower of God. Moving on.
moving on. What else?
Moving on to I am so bad with anime titles sometimes. This one is the Too Many Sad Heroines.
Too many losing heroines.
Too Many Losing Heroines, because that's English. That's how this language works. I'm sure it makes a lot more sense in Japanese.
Makine. Yes, I believe.
What?
Makine. Makine. Too many losing heroines. Yeah.
What the heck is Makine?
It's like you know what a tsundere is, right?
Yeah.
How it's like a character that's Makine, but it's just like for the girl who doesn't get the guy.
The kind of pathetic hot mess archetype is a Makine.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what that means. Yeah.
Okay, so I watched the first 3 episodes.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
What did you think? I think the
I
first episode might be the
thought-
strongest out of all those. I am interested.
I think you're right. I think of the first 3, the first one is the strongest. Um, yeah, it's fun. I mean, there's definitely this thing going on in the show where it's like all the dudes are straight men. And I don't mean sexually straight. I mean they are not funny. They're not crazy and wild. They're not out there at all. They're very down, straight up and down. And every female in this show is crazy pants on some level. Every single one. The teachers are crazy pants. The students are crazy pants. His little sister is crazy pants. Yeah.
I would say
And
he does not make for a good straight man, like the main character. He's the least straight man out of all of them. The rest of them, arrows in Robin Hood's quill, right? Like hitting each other all in the bullseye every single time, splitting the shaft. That's the rest of them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So our protagonist is a little more easily flustered, little more more wilding out, but it's funny. Like the writing is funny. Like we're introduced a little sister. Protagonist is in his room, like on his phone, and sister like pops up next to him, and he's like, "Ah, where'd you come from?" She's like, "I'm usually in here. You just don't notice." and he comments on it. He's like, "That's a creepy thing to say." That is something about the protagonist that I kind of struggle with. Is sometimes his voice actor says something. And I can't tell if it's a said line or a thought line. And a lot of the time, you don't see his mouth. Like, his back's to the camera, and I'm like, did he say that? Or did he think that? Because he'll say that stuff, too. It's not like I can tell the difference between inside voice and outside voice for this guy.
I think I can tell. I think there's a certain level of, like, exasperation, and that's, like, his inside voice, where he's just like, well, that's really weird, little sister.
Yeah, but he will get exasperated outwardly, too.
True, that is true, but I just assume it's all... If you don't see his mouth moving, just assume it's his inside voice.
Okay,
If
so if I
someone
can't
else
see
doesn't
it...
react to it as well, like...
Yeah, but sometimes it's a thing and then the scene ends. It's like, if there's a reaction, you just don't see it.
True.
It's just something that I've noticed. Like, other shows that I've watched don't do it this way. They try to make it very clear that this is a thought. And part of the problem, too, is that his speaking voice, the Japanese actor, is kind of it's a little bit of a quieter, kind of whispery voice.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so it's kind of sounds like how other actors would do their inside voice, is this quieter thing. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, I do like episode 1. I mean, it all starts off, again, we're meant to believe our protagonist has been at this high school for a minute and has no friends, which is like, he's... Sure.
I mean, here's the thing. He has no friends, and he spends his, like, time documenting where the best places are to drink water at different times of the school. That's a very weird kid thing to do.
That is the weirdest thing he does, though. There's nothing else he does.
He doesn't do anything else. He hasn't got any friends.
I know. Like, they tell us about his is trying to figure out which water drinking fountain is the best at what point during the day at the school at the beginning of episode 1. And then I kind of forgot about it, and then he went back into it at episode 3, and I was like, oh, right. He does have this weird thing. I totally forgot about it. Yeah. But, I mean, otherwise, I don't know, man. Everybody else in the school's weird, too. Again, all the women are weird. All the dudes are boring.
Right.
So yeah, the way he gets dragged into having friends at this school is he's at a local diner, just hanging out, and one of the girls in one of his classes gets broken up. Well, I'm gonna say broken up with in quotation marks because that's one of the weirdest things about this show. She thinks she gets dumped by her best friend boyfriend, who she's known since they were little.
From her childhood friend, right?
Yeah.
Like, they've been together forever. It's just childhood friends. Nothing's official, but she's totally into him because, obviously, like...
Not obviously. Like there are plenty of people that are childhood friends and doesn't turn into any.
Oh, sure. But I mean, just in the context of the show, right? Like that's
Yes.
what it's saying. It's like, oh, they're childhood friends. This means a lot to her. You know,
Yeah, 100%.
narratively, obviously, right?
So he's trying not to like eavesdrop and like see. He's trying to act like he didn't see anything, but fails miserably and catches her eye across the way, and she's like, "A person." And she leaps across the room, throws her bag across from him at the table, and sits down. And he's like, "Hey."
Well, you're missing the bit that he sees. Like, there's a joke where she's like, tells him to like, no, go after Karen. Like, you have to. Like, she's waiting for you, idiot. And like, trying to, it is the moment where she is the losing heroine, right?
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and she's like, well, his drink's here, you know.
Oh,
In that
I
kisu.
forgot about that. Yeah. It's all chewed up.
The straw.
Oh. And she's like, this is like indirectly kissing him. And he sees that. And she's like, crap, he saw that.
It's a great joke. Like, it's a great little bit. And
It really is.
she's just like, well, I can't avoid it, and I need to make sure he doesn't say anything. So let's mosey on over and just like throw my shit into his booth, and
And unload and
And unload.
emotionally dump everything on this guy that I've never talked to before in my life.
right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, and part of the problem too with the protagonist is he'll say things, she'll be like, he said he'd marry me, and now he's off with this skank. And the protagonist is like, when was this? And she's like, we were like 5. And he goes, that doesn't count. And then she doesn't react to it. And I'm like, did he say that? Or did he just think that? Because if he said that and she just blew right past it, that's another level of crazy, right?
Sure. I mean, definitely, but also it's like childhood magic, you know? It's like, obviously it doesn't count, but it totally does in her mind, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
love, Falcon.
Nah, whatever.
Oh, God.
And then,
You've just reminded me that, have you heard of ContraPoints?
yeah, no, I know
Yeah.
ContraPoints.
Yeah, she does a video on, like, Twilight, but it's more about
Yeah.
how romance
man.
novels handle love. And there's a kind of love that is mentioned. And English is terrible because familial love and paternal love and
It's all
romantic love. It's all just love, but other languages will have different words for it. And so it's a really awkward conversation to have in English.
Yes, totally.
But there is a feeling you get where you go crazy because you don't have your love, right? Like, so when Edward leaves Bella and she just like, in the book, it's literally just says November, and then you turn the page, December, and blah, 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 and it's like several
Yeah.
months go by, and in the movie, she's like having nightmares and just like staring out a window for months on end.
Right.
Right.
Pathetically.
It's that, and it's like a real thing, but I don't think a lot of people really recognize it when they see it because it's so individual to the person that when it's happening to you, it's different for everyone. And like, I think that's
Yeah.
what this lady's going through here. Genuinely can't remember her name. I've watched 6 episodes of that show, 7, and honestly, I've only gotten Nookun, and that's because Lemon Chan calls him Nookun.
Yanami.
Yep, okay. Blue
We'll
haired
call her
lady.
Anna. Blue hair girl's Anna.
Anna?
Yep.
Okay.
That's easier.
I think we should call her Splits the Bill Chan.
Does not split
Split
the
the
bill.
Yeah.
Does not even close to split the bill. Not even once. Yeah. And so she dumps on him, and he's like, I have no empathy for you. You're kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she orders a bunch of food, and well, then he's stupid because then he's like, did you order this? And she's like, I got these 2 dipping sauces. Is that okay? And then he goes, did you order this? And I'm like, yeah. She told you what kind of sauces she got. She asked if you're okay with that. That means she ordered it. What is wrong with you? So she orders all this food and then doesn't have enough money to cover it. So he pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's trying to track her down at school and be like, hey, you owe me a bunch of money for all that food you ate. Where do you put it, woman? And she goes, all right, so meet me at the old school by the emergency
The fire escape stairs.
fire escape stairs. And he's like, all right, I'll get paid finally. So she shows up and he shows up. And this is something the show likes to do where it's like, oh, is there something sexual going on here? Because she's like, I could maybe pay you back.
But I don't have money.
Yeah, and Sosuke, who's like her best friend, used to like it when I did it. And he's like, what is happening?
Sosuke is the childhood friend that she drove off earlier. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
meet me in this secluded area where no one ever goes on the stairs behind this old building. Wink.
And I'll do the thing that my longtime childhood friend really liked when I did it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So he freaks out, which is kind of his default state a lot of the first 3 episodes.
I want to interject and just say I found the fan wiki, and his name, Nuku and Mizu, literally means warm water. Right? Like, so if you're getting like a lukewarm feeling out of this guy, yeah, it's
extremely intentional. And I think the writing is smart. I really do. Like, there are some jokes in here that are intelligent. Like, they're going weird places with the characters that I really appreciate. So that's nice. But anyway, so then she goes, I'll make you lunch.
Yeah.
To make up, to pay you back. Because I don't have money, but I'll make you lunch and I'll bring it to you every day.
right.
So that's how he gets kind of a friend.
Right. He kind of gets a friend who kind of brings him lunch, but she can't make a second boxed lunch. She can't prepare another bento because her mother will question her. So she has to like stuff everything into one bento and then give it to him and be like, well, how much do you think this is worth? You know? And he's like, it's half a sandwich. I guess 300 yen, which is really high for half a sandwich.
Well, the first day, she just brings him convenience store food.
Right.
And he's like, is this convenience store food? And she's like, yep. Just give me the money. If you're buying convenience store food.
Well, she needs food as well, so you can't. If you like, you can't buy half the product if she gave him half of the money, right? Buy the whole food, give him
And
half.
give
the
him
food.
half, and then
Charge
pay
him
down the debt.
Charge him exorbitant prices.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah, and then the second lunch is this like massive rice with like some orange on top. I don't know what that was. But it was just this giant rectangle of rice. She's like, thunk, here it is. And I'm like, is there any protein here? Like, are we just eating rice for lunch? It is Japan. Maybe that's okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, there's some cultural stuff in anime that I'm still like, I don't know if I understand what's going on here entirely.
It's fair.
Anywho, so he gets dragged into other losing heroines who are in the same position of having childhood friends. And I mean, the girls never made their intentions known or anything. So they don't have a lot of room to speak. But yeah, their childhood friends start dating someone. And they're really bummed about it.
Yep.
That's the show.
That's the show, yeah. I'm trying to remember what happened in the most recent episode, because it's still more of that, but it's like, oh, one of the girls who does get the guy now is like stalking her own boyfriend, because the guy's now hanging out with the losing heroine, and they're going out for ice cream, and like they're doing stuff, and it's like, I can tell from a mile away, it's like he wants to go out shopping but needs someone's opinion because it's a surprise for his partner, right?
Right.
So he's just asking the female friend, who for him has just been like a childhood friend forever and is like the obvious go-to person.
Yep.
And it's still like just a way to make situational comedy happen, where it's like, they maybe spotted us, can quick get into this changing room with me in a bookstore. It's really weird. They're in a bookstore and then they're like, quick, hide in the changing room. I'm like, what the fuck is a changing room doing in a bookstore?
Bookstore. Just be in a clothing store. What is wrong with you? Yeah.
Right, and then they immediately get caught, and she's like, well, I think it would be best if I let him explain. And he goes, you know. And she just immediately pushes all the problems onto him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still going to be enjoyable. I don't know that it's going to do anything amazing, like, but like the writing will be fun, I think, for the rest of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, they're not afraid to have off the wall, oddball, weird characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like the school nurse went to that school and apparently had a
So did
lot of
one.
sex at that school,
Right.
and like is trying to get all of the students to hook up. She's trying to determine how to make them date each other.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, okay, lady, you need to back up a little bit. She's putting recording devices in different rooms to like track their conversations. Yeah, she's
Uh-huh.
nuts.
She's this crazy person. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also like one of the senpais at the lit club who's just like, I live in the locker. Right? Like, there's a locker in the corner of the room. In one episode, they open it and there's a student in there. Like,
No, that's a member of the student council.
oh, student council. Right. She's not a
Because
member
the
of
vice president of the lit club is telling them that the student council is getting on them because they haven't written anything.
because they haven't done any club activities. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's trying to explain, like, we're going to do this writing activity. And then in the middle of her speech, this blonde student stumbles out of a locker and is like, hey. And they're like, how long have you been in there?
Right.
Yeah. Again, female character, therefore weird. That's how they're writing this whole show.
She pops up in the most recent episode again, where she was like walking to the bubblers and got tired and laid down and couldn't get up, and so poor lukewarm water over here has to like she's on the ground next to the bubblers, and he obviously is like, well, I can't pick her up and like drag her to the bubblers, so buys her a bottle of water. Like she's also like there's also a vending machine like right there as well. So it's like you could have tap water,
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
could buy something bottled and get a heated drink or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like, okay, I guess I'll just buy you water. And it's like you could buy water, but you're sitting there going around evaluating the right levels of chlorine in the school's taps. You know?
Yes, everyone's got to have a hobby. He doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
He doesn't play video games. I guess he reads light novels.
He reads a lot of light novels. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it. Like, you need more time in your life than just reading light novels.
Sure. There's a
Yeah.
There's a hard read.
So yeah, so there's our blue hair Anna girl protagonist, and then there's Lemon, who's her defining characteristic is that she runs.
She runs.
She does track.
She does track. Yep. She does
Yeah.
track and is tanned. Those are her two qualifications.
Yeah. Like the only character that is tanned, even though I assume there are other people who are outside a lot, but nope, just
No,
this one.
she's the only one who runs track. You never see anyone else
Yeah.
run track.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, anyway, again, strange show. She's sad, and then there's Chica.
Chica.
Yeah, Chica Komari.
She's the one
She's
who
in the
doesn't.
lit club.
She's the one that doesn't talk.
She has the stutter.
Yes. Yeah. So she's often
Yes.
like typing on her phone and being like, "I wrote a thing," and everyone just
Yeah.
reads it out. Yeah.
She's the one I feel the worst about because
Yeah?
she's just like she thinks she's ugly and she doesn't deserve anything, and she hides out in the lit club room all the time, and she stutters. So like that's obviously that makes it hard to talk to people and make friends for sure. So I get it. They have the beach episode in episode 3. I'm like, you're getting to the beach episode pretty quickly, guys, huh?
Let's get that out of the way. I kind of approve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. Like they get there and everybody runs into the ocean, and she's just like sitting there on a towel under an umbrella. And our pro tag is even like, hey, like he's nice about it. He's like, hey, come have fun with us. Let's go. He's like, no, I'm good. He's like, all right.
Well, I tried.
I know. I kind of wanted him to push it a little bit more. But then at the end, Lemon picks her up and dumps her anyway.
Exposure
That was
therapy.
great.
Therapy. It's good for you, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
I don't think it was the water. I think it was the social aspect of it that she wasn't okay with.
absolutely. If there had been nobody else on the beach, she would have easily walked in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
And like even when that episode's doing gags and stuff, there's still a bit where she actually does confess to her guy. She's like, "Hey, I'm keen. You as well." And he's like, "Oh, give me some time to think about it." And
Yeah, she's like, I like you. Please go out with me. I'm like,
it's
wow, I didn't think you'd be the first one to do this.
It's straightforward. This show's going
Yeah.
places. And then he's like, "I need some time to think about it." And
Oh.
the other girl, who isn't the childhood friend, is the like
Yeah.
club president of the club, if I recall.
No,
No.
nope. They're both in the same like cram group. They're both taking advanced
Yeah,
something.
It might be hard. These characters are a lot to keep track of.
There are a lot of them. Yeah.
She's like, I was like waiting for you, and if you're gonna go out with her now, and he's like, well, you turned me down in December at Christmas. And she's like, what? Like, yeah, remember when I said like, if you couldn't find anyone else, I guess I will. That was his genuine attempt at asking her out at Christmas.
Oh man, people are dumb. That's great. That is so good.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's along the same lines, there's this time that smart glasses kid who Lemon's been crushing on is like, oh yeah, I don't have a chance with Lemon. She's way too like attractive and popular. Like that would never work out. I have no chance with her, and like walks off. And she's like, what?
right.
Yeah. It's tough out there. Tough sledding.
It's tough sledding. Yep.
Tough sledding for everyone, man. Yeah.
So you gonna keep watching?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just like how quirky it is. Like the show is very interested in making waves, and I like that.
Sure.
So
Some unique characters.
yeah.
Specifically the ladies who are all batshit crazy in one way or another. Anyway.
Warhammer, it is time.
It's time. What did we read this week, Falcon?
So this book is How Did the White Scars Get to Terra in Time for the Battle? That's it. That's all the story is.
It is also what did the White Scars do for the entirety of the Horus Heresy? Like where were they? What were they doing? And it's all hit and run, fighting 4 legions at once, trying to slow them down, getting whittled away, and losing their spirit, which is a kind of sad. Like, it's like, yeah, the book could give us more of them actually doing stuff to slow down all 4 legions for that like 4 or 5 year period at the start, because like. The last book ends, Scars, with like Jagatai being like, we will get to Terra. We will stand upon the walls. We will be there. And then 4 years later, they still haven't done it. And they're like, oh, dear God. It's like, okay, you could show us a little more of that. But it really is... I don't know. I don't want to say moving or impactful. But you get it when it's like, here's Shiban Khan. Everyone says he's like a poet. And, all the White Scars laugh when they go into battle. And he does neither of those things anymore. And he's like... Everyone is like this. This is what happened to everyone who's been fighting like this for 4 years.
Yeah. So something bad happened to Shiban, though, right?
Yeah, he gets like cut up a bunch at the end of the last book and like given like an exoskeleton so he can still be a dude.
Yeah.
They don't put him in a dreadnought sarcophagus because the White
think
Scars
they-
aren't. White Scars have them, but they don't like them because they're slow. That's basically it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they kept referencing it. And did we read that? Did we read him getting like his limbs chopped off and stuff?
It happens on Prospero.
It's part of like burning a Prospero?
No, not burning a Prospero. When the White Scars go to Prospero.
Oh, right, to
and
investigate what happened.
And to investigate, and they find that chart of Magnus, and Mortarion shows up. And like 4 years after the events of Prospero, much of Shiban's body was replaced with mechanical parts due to the vicious war of attrition, including his forearms, cows, thighs, neck, which he dubbed the shackles. So like, yeah, he has been. I don't know if it's like one big thing or if it's like slowly over time. This has been like he's been losing bits.
Okay, because I really was under the impression he just got his ass kicked real bad by someone. But it makes more sense if it's this like slow losing of limbs over.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Yeah.
That's fair. So yeah, he's bummed out. He hates everything.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and like Ilya, who is our human connection to the White Scars,
Yep.
she's old, she's gray, she's slowing down.
Uh-huh. She is trying so hard to get someone to talk to Jagatai and like counsel him to leave. Like we cannot keep doing this. And
Like we
everyone's just like, I will do what he says. It's like, yeah, but what will you counsel? That's what I care about now. Ugh.
Yeah,
She
she can. I mean, everyone can see it, but she can see especially that they're just going to get wiped out. Like if this
right.
trajectory keeps going on, they will go extinct.
Mm-hmm.
And every White Scar is okay with that. They're like, if we're killing the enemy and my con tells me to do it, that's a good way to go out. I'm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And Ilya's like, you guys are stupid. I hate all of you. How about live? And they're like, I don't know.
You know, but dying honorably is kind of cool, though. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that whole she's trying to get them to go to Terra, and they're like, we don't have any orders to do that. It's like,
But
uh,
Jagatai swore.
yeah,
Yeah, and so much of the book is just like swapping around between Mortarion and Eidolon, the worst buddy cop movie pairing in the world. Uh,
yeah. We get some
chasing.
Horus too.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Horus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's technically like a little bit of Russ in this too, but like very little.
Yeah.
About as much. And they're like chasing down the White Scars and being like, where can we find them? Where are they going? How do we stop them?
Mm-hmm.
And then they find. Ooh, they find an astropath house, like the Novatorum and astropath house. They had been building basically their own webway entry point.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got like a throne, and there's one Thousand Sons here who was in one of the short stories that we read, so we kind of had spoilers that he didn't die here.
Yeah.
Who's having visions that like, oh, there must be a chosen Primarch to take the seat, and we're all like, what does that mean? And have you been able to figure that out? Like, do you understand what that's saying? Like, 'cause I kind of can work that out, or slash
Yeah.
already know. I'm not sure which is happening in my brain.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Our guy that ends up going down there and finding it, he's like, well, it's got to be a psyker.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, is it Magnus? Is it Lorgar? Uh, I mean, considering the fact that the guy, who's the dude? Who's the dude that did the hologram message?
Oh, Peter.
Peter?
Peter.
Yeah, why
not
is this
sure
guy
how
not
it's-
on the list of?
Peter
There he
Hellion
is.
Archalex.
Yeah.
I'm not.
He's like, we designed this for a Primarch to control it, but obviously that's not possible anymore.
Right.
So I'm wondering if that's a Magnus thing. Like Magnus is split up into all these different shards. So like, nope, he's not available. At least not all of him at this point. That's my best guess.
Yeah, it's Magnus, right?
Okay.
But what he's having visions of is actually also the Golden Throne on Terra,
Uh-huh.
and how it relates to their webway portal, because it's the same project, right?
Yeah.
The Golden Throne. The Emperor wanted Magnus to sit on the Golden Throne and defend humanity by keeping like demons out and keeping that working. Those are his visions. That's what he's actually having visions of. It's all dual meaning stuff because Zinch. Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, and there was some lines.
that was-
and like one downside of the audiobook because I can't pause it and highlight and be like, save this for later. So I've got a quote, but there were lines where I'm like listening to it and it's like, oh, there's someone trapped on the throne, and Jagstai's having all these like what he's figuring out that the Emperor is stuck somewhere, stuck doing something, and he's like looking at the chair and all this, and he's putting two and two together that like, oh, the Emperor's stuck somewhere on a chair, and you know, how do you say his name? How do you say the Thousand Sons guy's name? Arvil Avita. I'm not gonna say his first name. It doesn't exist.
Arvita, yeah.
Avita. He's having like flesh change going crazy and giving him all these visions because he's Corvidae, and it's all connected.
Yeah, so hold on. So before Magnus teleports to Terra and
Uh-huh.
ruins everything,
Uh-huh.
the plan is
Uh-huh.
that Magnus comes to Terra, sits on the chair forever,
Well,
and holds back the demons in the webway.
it might not be as like a I'm stuck here thing if the plan works, right? But his plan was to have Magnus do it, yeah.
Okay.
Like
And
when the throne gets used as a life support system and there's no getting off it, right? I
mm-hmm.
don't think it would have been like the system should have. See the way it really makes any sense is that like Magnus would be the one doing it, but he might not be bound to the chair forever. Like he might be able to get up and walk around for a bit before having to like hit the next shift or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because like the Emperor can get off the chair, like he's there because he wants to be, because he needs to be, but he
Mm-hmm.
can't get up off it, right? At
Mm-hmm.
this point, at least.
Yeah. Maybe not in 40K.
No, no. At that point, it's a life supported. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have legs, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking in Rogue Trader, we come across Eldari portals into the webway at
Yeah.
least twice.
We saw. Yeah. We go to Kamora in Road Trader, and like Kamora's in the webway, so it's like we've got to get into the webway somehow, right? But the game mostly treats the portal as like a loading screen, right? Rather
Yeah.
than a place you actually travel through.
No, I know, but I'm just saying for the lore of Warhammer, there are gates sitting there
Uh huh.
in systems
Uh huh.
hanging out.
Yep.
Why did we have to build one?
The Emperor wanted one on Terra. Well, there was one on Terra, and he was converting it to making it useful.
No, 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 the other one, the other end of it, the one that we discovered in this book.
I don't think they created it from scratch.
Oh.
I think they were.
Oh.
I think they found a gate on the planet and were like, "How do we open this up?"
Oh. Okay, okay. So that's what the project was.
Yeah.
I guess because they say very specifically the location is as like far away.
Mm-hmm.
It's far away from the war, right?
Yeah.
Intentionally so.
Right.
So they just happen to find a gate on a planet that is away from the war.
Okay. So Jagatai postulates that the Emperor knew that this war was coming, right?
Yeah.
He says that. And so you could make a reasonable argument to say that they found a bunch of webway gates, kept it hidden, and then picked one far enough away, or were working on several of them, and only the one that was far away from the war is the one that's kind of got any real progress going on it.
Okay.
Because like that just logistically makes more sense than being lucky, and I don't know. It's also totally plausible. Like there's no reason it couldn't be like that.
Yeah, I know. I think you're
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's a lot of talking in here about how if the Webway project succeeded, a lot of what the Imperium is not necessary anymore.
Right.
Like
A lot of
obviously you
the
don't need
navigators,
navigators
psychers, and astropaths.
and someone says Primarchs. We don't
Ye-
need Primarchs anymore. And I was like, I'm not following your logic on this one.
So I think they will
Like with
still
the
need.
Webway, the war's not necessary. I
Yeah,
mean,
with a lot of if like it, again, you got to remember that a lot of the Emperor's actual plan for the webway is still unknowable. Part of it is like, did the Emperor just want to turn it into a giant superhighway? And so if your
yeah.
planet gets under attack, everyone can just flee through the superhighway and be fine. Or is there some other step that just is like, well, we might still need some Primarchs, but we wouldn't need all of the Primarchs. Or maybe just regular troops would be fine if you can deploy them almost instantly across the galaxy, right? Like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
It's not a great, like, thing. I think Primarch, most, like, it depends on how, like, thorough the Emperor wanted to get rid of Astartes. Because you can't get rid of the Astartes as a legion and not have their Primarch as well. Like, their Primarchs just wouldn't stand for it, right? Like, Magnus
Yeah.
went to huge lengths to save his kids already. Imagine what he would do if he was like, oh, we're going to be made redundant in 300 years and, like, kicked out. I don't see it happening bloodlessly. And to do
No.
that, you need the wolves, and you couldn't also get rid of Russ without pissing off the wolves, and you couldn't get rid of the wolves without pissing off Russ. So it's an all or nothing for those. I think they're a package deal until 40k happens, you know.
Right.
When the Emperor's not around and they're guessing at like what's left to do with the Imperium, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, that's been the larger discussion for all these books, is what happens when the galaxy is conquered. Do we need Space Marines and Primarchs anymore? They're bred for war. They can't do anything else. They're not going to go farm for you.
That's the thing. A lot of the Primarchs and the legions all did other things, right? Like Guilliman's a statesman. The Thousand Sons grew wine and were researchers. Lorgar was a philosopher warrior. Like he more than a warrior. Like he wanted to be a learned person, but was forced to be a general.
Yeah, that's true. I
And
mean,
like Russ
some of 'em.
and Angron, it's like, well, okay, they're not really gonna do anything else.
Mortarion.
Yeah.
It's great in this book. There's this whole part where he's like trying to do this reading thing.
And it describes his library as like a poultry thing. But he started late, and so, you know, he's catching up.
Yeah, it's kind of adorable, actually. Yeah, I mean, some of the Primarchs probably couldn't do anything else. Conrad Kerr's not really meant to, start a podcast or anything.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Anywho's. Yeah, so... So the White Scars end up not on Terra, but they get dumped relatively close to Terra, ahead of Horus's invasion anyway.
And meeting up with Lehman Russ, who's just like...
Yeah.
It's a thing where I think we've been told about in the anthology, where Russ and the Space Wolves are on Terra. But, you know, if you've read 40k history, like codexes and stuff, you know they're not on Terra for the final siege. They have to find a reason to leave, and that's just like him disagreeing with Rogel Dawn and being like, I'm going to go preemptive strike them. And so that's what Russ is doing.
It's a very Space Wolf thing to do.
Yeah, I suppose it is. But yeah, that's the book. It's like, okay, we know that they're going to be on Terra. We know Arvita gets to Terra because he's had a chat with Malkador and a soul shot of Magnus. Overall, good book. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
the Thousand Sons get like 2 books, and they're like, okay, and now we're done. And so do the White Scars. It's like, okay, and you know what? Great. We don't need every Legion to have 7 books like the Ultramarines and the Word Bearers, you know?
Right.
We don't need that, I think.
Or even the Dark Angels, I think, get more than that.
Yeah, they get 4.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot.
It is. So, oh yeah, and at the end of the book, the dude that sat on the throne, no, the dude that's in the ship navigating them through the webway to the solar system,
Yeah.
he ends up flesh changing.
Arvita, yeah.
Yes. And then the Sigillites people come and take him.
Right.
And then we read the attempts with him, and
the last
then
son of
we're
Prosper. Yeah.
yeah, and he gets fused with the Shard of Magnus and becomes whoever he is.
Yes,
Right. I'm just saying we already read that part,
we did.
so chronologically we just went back a little bit on his story. That's all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
absolutely
That
what we did.
happened.
There was also a bunch of references in this book to another book, and the flowchart does not say that we should have read it beforehand. It actually lists it lower down, and the arrow leads from Path of Heaven to like this other short story way over here. What's it called? Old Wounds. It's a short story. It's an ebook by itself, so it's not in the anthology. But the events of Moloch get mentioned a lot, and that's in Vengeful Spirit, which I think we should read next, because you kind of need to know what happened at Moloch for all of that to make sense.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of talk about Moloch in this book. Well, not a lot. Maybe like he gets mentioned like 4 times, I think. But it still feels like a lot. And it's not a book I've read, but I know what happens ish, like the broad strokes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we should read that one next because, well, I think it will be good. I hope it'll be good. I'm
Absolutely scintillating recommendation there.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just I'm now so I feel betrayed by the flowchart now. You know, where I'm like,
Oh.
is this book going to mention anything that we should have else already read?
Yeah.
Like all of this follows down from book 42, which is the Gower. It's like Nathaniel Gower gets his own anthology, right? Gower was the leader, the captain in the Death Guard who took the Eisenstein and warned the Emperor.
Yeah.
He gets a
Garrow's
series
cool.
of series of short stories to read, and it's like, okay, Vengeful Spirit is after that. Is it gonna spoil anything? Should we go back to that? And at that point, we're almost like back to the top of the flowchart, you know?
Right. We're way at the start of the Heresy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is it worth reading Gower then?
I mean, I'm down. I like Garrow.
Oh, Old Man
I'm
Gower,
okay with it.
who gets
Sure.
killed by all the other Death Guard. All right, Gower. Let's see if we can find the book. Who can find it first? Gower by James Swallow.
Good
Book
old James
42.
Swallow.
Found it. I found it. Oh, there's something I didn't mention last week with the anthology, which is all of it was read by one guy, except
Whoa.
for one of the books. They had a different audio narrator for just one of the books, and
That's weird.
I have no idea why. But it was the one with the Thunder Warriors, and he did a good
Yeah.
job, so I'm not complaining.
Right.
But I just thought it was weird, and I forgot to mention it last time. So, were you able to find it? Did your library have it?
No.
Oh,
They used to have them.
they used to.
They don't have Audible for this? Where my Audible? I mean, not my Audible.
Oh,
My Kindle version.
hold on. This critic reviews Garrow is not a collection of short stories. It's James Swallow's full novelization of Garrow's story arc. Something we've only seen in
Oh.
part in audio dramas and novellas. So it's not an anthology, despite the flowchart listing it as one of the anthologies. It is a novelization of all the anthologies.
Gotcha. That's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
I don't have the ability to Kindle this.
No?
Wait, no, it's here. What's
Because
going on with Amazon.com? Refresh.
I found it. $13.99, available instantly on Kindle.
Yeah. See all formats and editions. How about that?
Ooh.
Might work. Audiobook, paperback, audio, CD.
What?
I know. But if I'm in the app, add to list. Here, I'll do this. I'll add it to my Amazon wish list. And then I'll look at my wish list
Yeah.
and see if it's there.
Can you, if you use that link, will it show you the Kindle? Because it shows it for me on a US version.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Oh, Kindle edition. You would. All the other times I've looked at the books, it's just like, here's the Audible and the Kindle and the paperback on the same page. Which one do you want? And apparently, that other page was only for the non-Kindle editions.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Whatever. All right. Bye now. Let's go. I like James Swallow. I like this Garrow guy. Let's rock.
Excellent.
All right. Done. Dunzo. Good.
Woo.
All right, that it from us.
I think that's it.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks everyone for hanging out for another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour streamed live at twitch.tv/Somicron. You can also find the VODs at youtube.com/@Somicron. Supporting the podcast is possible at patreon.com/Somicron and by buying merch at falconpaladin.store. So again, if you want to read along with us, we told you what book we're reading for next week, what animes we're watching. So we'll read your comments if you want to interact with us on Twitch. And leaving comments on the YouTube channel. Somicron will read those.
I will.
Maybe.
Yeah. I read all the comments on my YouTube channel.
Excellent. Very good.
Yep.
And yeah, until next week, 1 week from now, that's going to be it from us. So you have a great day and night and whatever. And until next time, you take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Bye.